Okay, good. Sound check. Okay, that's good enough. We can't be letting the music play too long. Welcome back to the Larry Coyote Show. This would represent episode 9. So, welcome, and I want to give a special shout out to hold on. Shout out to my homie Miguel, who accompanied us on episode 8. He was in from out of town, came to visit us from Texas. Dude, we used to always hang out with him when we were younger. Had a great time having him here, hosting him here. I appreciate him taking the time to feature on the podcast. And I want to give him a big shout out, Miguel. Thank you for coming out here and spending that Friday with us. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure all my other friends or all our other friends did as well. So there's that. I think, what else? I'll start with that. Let me leave it there. I'll move on to say, hey, man, sorry I really haven't posted much lately. Truth be told, there really hasn't been a lot of buzzing activity in the last month with regards to boxing. But I will recap a couple of highlights that did occur in August. So August was a really slow month. Truthfully, I was kind of disappointed that I really thought it would be kind of a better summer, to be honest with you. But it was okay. And I don't know, man. I'm getting really fucking salty with Top Rank. Is it just me, or is Top Rank sort of hogging the most, some of the most talented guys? And I just think that nobody wants to fuck with Bob Arum. Like, literally nobody wants to do business with that man. And so so I think you should blackball him. But the problem with that is he kind of has Lomachenko on a stranglehold. I think he's kind of contractually obligated. So that sucks because we haven't really seen Lomachenko. Let me back up. So I guess the people that did fight in August that are worth mentioning was Vasily Lomachenko and Luke Campbell fought last weekend, I believe. Alexander Povetkin and Huey Fury also fought, and on the same card. I tried to watch it. I ended up struggling to download ESPN Plus on time. By the time I did download it, it said you have to wait. The event is actually not even starting until 11:30 p.m., which I think it had something to do with a rebroadcast issue. So I shot out an angry email to ESPN Plus and said, hey, give me back my $4.99. You guys suck. Lomachenko's fighting right now, and I'm not able to watch it. I think he was fighting in England or definitely not at Pacific time. So all this thing fucked it all up for me. I didn't get a chance to watch Lomachenko. It actually was a better fight than I had anticipated. I think Luke Campbell put up a really good showing for himself. He was much bigger, longer arms, longer reach, bigger guy. He had a lot going in his favor. Lomachenko had the talent. Luke Campbell had the physical gifts, let's say, via height, reach, probably size, all around. But it went as predicted. I'm sorry I didn't put any money. I didn't really like where the odds were. You had to put too much to win too little. I think Lomachenko, you would have had to bet $85 to win $8 or $10. That was weak. Povetkin, I think, was actually a little better. I think $15. You would have won $10, or we can add a 0 to it, and then you get what the odds are. So it actually went according to plan. Had I put money into both of these fights, we probably would have made out with a little bit of profit margin. But I didn't like the the risk leverage involved with it was probably not appetizing enough for me to actually commit to any cash towards either one of these fights. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. But they both won last week. They were fighting on ESPN Plus. I missed it, but I think it went well for Lomachenko. Povetkin won. I expected him to win. Huey Fury was a live underdog, and he lost. So anyway, let's talk about what's coming up in September, because that's actually the only thing that matters now. Those fights are behind us. This weekend, there's nothing really, anything major worth mentioning in boxing. I do believe there will be a UFC event occurring, according to my homie Johnny, who's a UFC aficionado. They're going to be fighting in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, two different locations, one or the other. They're basically fighting in the desert, though, amongst the Arabs, which is not a bad thing, So I see the Arabs making a real concerted effort to actually host fighting events in sports, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's good for the sport, because, as we all know, they have that oil money, and the oil's not going to stop flowing anytime soon. So I like that they are committing it to the sport that I love, because it helps. Well, even UFC, it's a contact sport. I don't love the sport, but it helps that they're actually putting money into the events, and it helps highlight them and bring them to a higher profile, which is only going to get better and better. So that's really cool. This weekend is a loss for us boxing fans. We'll have to wait until next weekend, and let's talk about what's happening there. Jaime Munguia, the Golden Boy champion, is actually going to be fighting versus Alati. I think I mentioned this briefly in passing a couple weeks ago. I expect Munguia to win, but the more important thing about it is he's actually going to have Eric El Terrible Morales in his corner. So I want to see how he wins and what he does to win. I'm looking for growth and improvement in his overall fighting game and technique. So will he have that? I don't know. That's what I'm looking for, and that's why it's worth tuning in next Saturday, September 14th. Also on the undercard, Golden Boys, I guess I call him a little superstar, Ryan Garcia, King Ryan, is going to be fighting Avery Sparrow. So I'm kind of looking for the same thing from him, although he doesn't have a – oh, actually, yes, he does. I was going to say he doesn't have any noteworthy trainers or coaches, but he's actually training under Canelo's team now. So Team Canelo is now training Ryan Garcia to try to get him to that next level. So we'll find out. I see a lot of videos on Instagram. He's working on his hooks, punches, body punches. Before he looked to have a lot of concentration on speed. He's been working the bags and mitts and all that other stuff you punch. You guys could tell me what it's called, with the Canelo team, and I see that he's actually gravitated away from, or actually moved away from speed to now putting a lot of power behind his punches. So will he win by knockout? We'll see. I don't know how tough Avery Sparrow is, but I definitely want to see what Ryan Garcia does. He really needs to put more weight behind his punches if he wants to. If he hopes to stand a chance against some of the bigger dogs in his weight division, because he seems to have a lot of natural abilities, charisma, not that it matters in the ring, but it does matter for star power. He's got a lot going for him, but he's going to need a heavier punch if he has any hopes of trying to keep some of these bigger people, bigger meaning, bigger punchers, bigger fighters, better fighters in his division off of him. You can't just jab and touch your way out of sticky situations. And so hopefully Canelo's team is helping him work on that power. So anyway, that's September 14th. Jaime Munguia is fighting and Alati. Ryan Garcia is fighting Avery Sparrow. Both happening in the zone. And actually this fight, I should write this down, is in Carson at the StubHub Center. So I don't know, man. I've been wanting to go check out a fight pretty for a while already. So if any of you guys are interested, let me know. Maybe we can, set up an outing or something amongst the boys and mob it. Who knows? Something to think about. Shoot me a DM or fucking message or whatever you guys want to do. Let's see what's next. So that's next weekend. The weekend after that, September 21st, is at the Staples Center. Hold on. Yeah, no. It's not at the Staples Center. Take that back. Put that over here. September 21st, PBC is featuring Peter Kid Chocolate Quillen versus Alfredo El Perro Angulo. El Perro's from where? Mexicali? He's from Baja somewhere, I believe, right? This is interesting because we're watching two shot-out fighters go at it. That's really the only compelling reason to tune in. Is Alfredo Angulo is way past his prime. I might even argue that he has no business being in the ring, and if he stays in the ring any longer, he's going to suffer irreparable brain damage. This guy has taken some of the hardest punches to his dome. I don't think he's ever been put on his ass, though. And that's actually what makes it interesting is this guy's gotten punched so hard, like his head's like, bah, bah, bah. He's gotten punched so, he must have a really hard head. But he's taken so much damage that his speed is probably, not that he was ever fast, but it's half or 60% below what it was 6, 7, 8 years ago. He's one of the slowest punchers out there. He used to be a very, very tough man. I think once upon a time, he got his ass handed to him by, what's his guy's name? Fucking... I know his, I'm gonna say his nickname is the Mandingo Warrior. You guys know what I'm talking about, but he got his ass handed to him in Mexico, I believe, by him. And after this was when he was on the ascent. He had a really good showing against Eris Landilara as well. But then he started suffering losses. I think I would say his biggest loss and probably his most damaging loss was likely against Canelo. Canelo beat his ass pretty badly. Didn't knock him down, if I remember correctly, but he hurt him, and he was already looking kind of like an old, war-torn veteran. Slow reflexes, slow reaction time, hardly moving his feet. One of those guys. Tough though, tough. So we'll give him that. Anyway, he's fighting Peter Quillen. Peter Quillen was same thing, a champion. He lost to the Miracle Man, Danny Jacobs, probably 6 years ago. And it's funny because he was actually the favorite to win. He was the champion, belt holder. He lost to Jacobs, but he didn't actually get beat up. He got stunned, knocked down, and the fight was called off, I think, in the first round. I want to even say in the first 30 seconds. So it was kind of a stun. It was a stunning loss, but it was not something like where you were at war and it took a lot out of you. So I'm not sure what happened to him, but after that, he went in the shadows, never to emerge again. I think he had a tune-up fight a couple years ago. Didn't even look good. A lot of things about him. So it's almost like he sort of just completely lost his drive and passion for the sport. And I don't know why either one of these guys is doing this, but they got a TV spot on Fox Sports 1 September 1st. And I think I heard my homie Ulises mention on Facebook that it's not worth watching. He has a point, but to me it's worth watching because both of these guys are sort of so washed up that this is a fight to see who is more washed up. And should they both hang it up? So I would give Peter Quillen the edge just because I think he's got less wear and tear to his body than Alfredo Angulo. And that's why I will tune in, truth be told. Same night, you're going to see Joe Diaz versus Hey-Zeus Quadro. This fight is going to be in Mexicali, Mexico. I think I could be wrong, but this might be the first time that I see Golden Boy Promotions actually feature an event in Mexicali or in Mexico. They might be testing the waters for something larger, like a Canelo comeback. I don't know, in Mexico, because I know they've been talking about getting him to that event. So I think for Jojo Diaz, this is more of a tune-up fight. He's actually going to be he's gunning for a showdown with Tevin Farmer in November, December. So I like that he's been staying busy. This is a stay busy fight. But the big fight for Jojo, this one on September 21st coming up in 2 weeks is kind of an appetizer. The big fight for him will be whether he fights Tevin Farmer in December. So Tevin Farmer, what are you up to, man? Like, I know Tevin's been busy as well. I've said it here before. Many a times, he's one of my favorite fighters out right now. He's calling out everybody in the book. Who will fight him? I think he wants to fight Tank Davis. He wants to fight Jojo Diaz. Honestly, he'll fight anybody. And that's what I like about Tevin Farmer. But I would really like to see a showdown later this year after Jojo Diaz gets his September 21st fight out of the way against either Tank Davis or Tevin Farmer. So unfortunately, all three of these guys I mentioned are all represented by different promotional outfits. So please, guys, somehow find a way to make it happen. There is money in the fight. I think it's better to make it than not make it, and that's my humble opinion as a spectator. So we talked about, in recap, September 14th, next weekend, Jaime Munguia versus Alati, same in Carson, same night. Munguia's actually got a trainer, new Eric El Terrible Morales. Ryan Garcia's new trainers are Canelo's trainers, Eddie Reynoso and Camp. So we want to see them with their new trainers and what they do. September 21st, 2 weeks from now, Peter Quillen, Alfredo Angulo, and Jojo Diaz versus Jesus Quadro. Jojo Diaz hopefully trying to set up a bigger match later this year. I like that everybody's staying busy. So 3 weeks from now, September 28th, we have Errol Spence and Sean Porter. I think they're all actually going to fight at the Staples Center. So another event. If anybody kind of wants to mob it or is interested in getting some tickets, shoot me a DM. I'll Venmo you or you Venmo me, and we'll get some tickets and go. So maybe we can mob it deep or not. I don't really like to stick my neck out and do a big fucking thing. It's just too much of a hassle, and for me, it's too stressful. So, but we can do that, or we can go, low key. So whatever. If anybody's interested, I said it and I put it out there. So anyway, Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. You guys already know Errol Spence is the kingpin of the welterweight division. Sean Porter's probably, I've noticed Errol Spence sneak dissing Sean Porter, saying he's a dirty fighter, throwing his elbows, headbutting. This is all true. Sean Porter's probably one of the dirtiest fighters in welterweight right now. He is a little bull, charging in, fucking sharp elbows, headbutting, gives you no room to breathe, no space. Really ugly, kind of like a running back, truth be told. So I think that's kind of cool, and that's what makes it interesting. Spence, to me, looks like a technically sound, incredibly strong, he's got actually, they're both probably equally strong. I think I give Spence the edge. I think this fight is probably 60%, 40%. I think Porter loses, whether he loses by knockout or decision. I'd probably say decision at this point, because I don't know that Porter is a guy to get knocked out or even knocked down. But anyway, following on that same night, September 28th, Osito Lopez versus John Molina. I think that's a really good fight. I want to see I like seeing Osito Lopez, because Osito Lopez is probably one of the scrappier guys in the business. Hold on. Osito. So it's really cool for me to sort of see these guys go at it and clash heads. John Molina is also a warrior. I think, what did he call himself? A Spartan or some sort of guy. Anyway, John Molina is a good fighter, a tough fighter, strong fighter. Osito Lopez is one of the scrappiest guys out there. So overall, that night of September 28th is going to be a good one. Definitely looking forward to that. The following weekend, October 5th, Triple G versus Darab Chenko. I don't know a lot about Darab Chenko, but he's got a really impressive resume, and I know he's a hard puncher. I would actually be interested to look at what those odds are. So because I might be willing to bet for Darab Chenko if if he's like a 10-1 favor underdog. I think Triple G's slowing down. I said it. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I'll try to. I'm gonna keep it short. Before the year ends, what else are we seeing? Canelo should make his return. Hopefully, Joe Diaz lines up that fight with Tevin Farmer. Deontay Wilder should also be fighting. Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua are all fighting before the year ends. So those are probably the four that I would say would be noteworthy fights happening before this year ends that you should be looking out for. Other topics, I don't really know if I want to touch on them here. Maybe I should do a separate episode for that. They're not boxing related, that's why, and maybe I should just keep this at exclusively boxing. And in order to create more content, have another video for the other topics. But I'll stop here. And as always, thank you for tuning in. We'll be broadcasting more often because this will be a busier month worth keeping you guys updated on. So thanks for riding with me, and have a good evening. It's Friday. So be safe out there. No drinking and driving. And if any of you guys want to have me talk about anything specific, let me know what you want to hear. You can leave a comment, shoot me a DM. My stuff is Larry Coyote all across the board, whether it's IG, Facebook. I think I have a Tumblr, Twitter. Send me a Cash App. Fuck it. Anything like that. So my goal was to try to get to 10 episodes. I'm on number 9. Hopefully, once we get to 10, we'll actually get this thing moving a little quicker. So I did want to pad my channel with a little more content. I didn't want to just have 2-3 videos there. I'm working my way towards getting to 10 and then using that as a lift-off point. So have a good evening, guys, and have a safe weekend. Take care. Bye.